So here we are, it's April 20th, 2023, and Megan is giving us her farewell tour, literally, because she and Tim are moving to Gainesville tomorrow. Take it away, Megan.
Okay, hold on. You gotta take my hair out. Well, I'm really glad Mr. Cat is here with us. Alright. Welcome to the Kelly Family Homestead. We're so glad to have you here this evening. What is today? It's April
20th.
April 20th, the year is 2023. And I've lived on this homestead for 5 years. Tim's lived here for how many years?
About 2.
Tim helped build this trellis, and the purpose of this video and the purpose of this tour is to have the people who live here have a better idea of what exactly is going on in the garden. So what we've done is we've created a self-guided tour with these little numbered signposts to help guide the way through. I was doing it based off of memory. Also, you should know in the video that this is not the garden at its best. We had a big flood about a week ago, and so yeah, we're just kind of in the aftermath of the flood and just seeing what works and what doesn't. This is Mr. Cat. He'll be our guide throughout the tour. And we have numbers 1 through 20. So some of you guys have the self-guided tour. So I was going to just riff it like I usually do, but I think it'd be useful to read it out loud as well too. So to begin, let's all close our eyes, feel our feet on the ground, relax the shoulders down the back, and just take a deep breath in through the nose, out through the mouth. Just coming into this space, letting go of anything you've been holding on to. It's been a crazy week. Just opening ourselves up to receive from this special place. And when you feel ready, you can open your eyes. So we have arrived at the Kelly Family Homestead Food Forest Garden. Our family has been living on this land for over 50 years. In 2018, a third-generation Kelly girl arrived on 13th Street and began planting a food forest garden to feed her family and create a peaceful space to learn from the living world. Since that time, hundreds of students and visitors have passed through this garden, taking with them handfuls of freshly harvested produce, baskets full of cuttings and seeds to propagate in their backyard gardens across the city, and a deeper connection with our place. We planted a pineapple patch near the entrance as pineapples are a symbol of welcome. Welcome! So number 1 starts right here. This is our pineapple patch. Some of these were already in pots, but a lot of them fell in the storm, and so we planted them right here. There'll be a nice understory plant. Above, who I forgot to even put on it because I was just doing this based off of memory, is Everbearing Mulberry, which has ripe fruit on it right now if you'd like to taste one. We know mulberries are ready when they are a dark purple color like this. So you can see, if you want to come up close, we have this cluster here. These are not ripe yet. We can eat these delicious berries. They're just like a blackberry, and this is the time that they're fruiting. This is a dwarf variety, so it's not going to get too big, but if you want to prune it back, you are welcome to. You could also kind of stake it back a little bit. Okay, number 2. This special lion, does anyone recognize it? It was Granddad's. So this lion actually floated in the flood. It usually hangs out right there. But it floated in the flood all the way over to that chair over there. Remember how I showed you? So I put it here at the entrance as kind of a protector. So number 2, what is a food forest? Here we are looking to the living world to gain insight into design. In nature, no space is wasted, so we maximize space through stacking rather than growing in straight lines and rows like in traditional agriculture. We plant a variety of productive food for us, so things that we can eat, but we also want to have food for the soil as well too. We're trying to create a balanced regenerative system with our focus mainly on perennial plants, which means plants that stick around year after year. We don't have to keep planting them. We are also trying to maximize diversity, create self-renewing soil, so allowing the oak leaves to fall to help regenerate the system. And we're trying to produce an abundance of fresh, edible, and medicinal plants year-round right outside our front door. Number 3. So we begin our tour with Coontie, which is this plant right here. So the name of Fort Lauderdale, before it was Fort Lauderdale, was Coontihatchee. It was named after this unsuspecting plant right here because Coontie was such an important plant to the indigenous people in our place. So Coontie has a tuber down at the bottom that they would turn into flour and it would make a bread. So Kunti was the name of this plant, Hatchie was the river, and this is also the host plant for our Atala butterfly too. So I think it's nice to have it here at the entrance. I love that Mr. Cat is standing right here. So now you can come on in. So
We'll follow
on,
you, 'cause
on
you've
number
got your
3,
report.
what we're talking about is a guild. And so a guild is a way that we can grow where we are using different layers rather than just one layer, like just pineapples. So I'm trying to maximize space through this area. So this tree right here is called moringa. Has anyone heard of moringa before?
Yes, I have.
So moringa is a hot superfood on the market. They sell this stuff powdered in stores for like $30. People often put it in their smoothies as like a green powder, but you can eat the leaves. So an easy way to harvest is you can just take off the leaves and kind of snap them off like this, throw them into a smoothie. You can dry them as well too. You can put them in soups and salads. This plant helps with diabetes, helps with blood pressure. It's known as the tree of life because it is so giving and so full of nutrients. They plant it a lot in third world countries as well too because it helps us to uptake nutrients. So a lot of us have difficulties with our guts, so this plant helps us to be able to absorb more. This guild right here obviously got smashed by the storm but is doing its best. Some of the plants that are still sticking around at the center, so a guild is like kind of a mini food forest where we have one tree at the center, usually a fruit tree, and then we plant a diversity of plants around the base of the tree so that way we're able to use the area and also support the tree too. So around here, what will definitely come back is red salvia, which is this plant, which attracts hummingbirds and is gorgeous.
Lovely.
We will also have cranberry hibiscus, which is also delicious. It's that red plant right here. The cardinals like to come and eat the seeds. They drop down on the ground, so these will come back in the summer. This is a tropical spinach right here. This is CISO spinach. It got washed in the floodwaters, but because its root system is through here, it will continue to come back, so you can eat these leaves, raw or out of hand. These clumps right here are lilies. They have beautiful yellow flowers, but they close up during the day. This plant right here is called Leaf of Life. It's known as a sacred plant to a lot of people in the islands, also very nutrient rich as well too. Grows in the understory through here, will definitely come back. It's also called Leaf of Life because you can take literally one of these leaves, drop it on the ground, and it will grow a bunch of new plants from the side. This is one of my favorite plants right here. This is Lipia alba, or tropical lemon balm. So all of these plants got major haircuts. I'm trying to bring some of this with me as well too, but this will form a gorgeous shrub. And I really like to eat these leaves after dinner, which we just had, because it helps to freshen the breath. Also, it's a calming nervine, so it helps us to relax and chill. It tastes like lemon balm. How's everybody doing?
Great.
I'm going off script now because I feel like it's boring when I read it. But this is all in it, so we're following the script, but it's like then you don't have to listen to me recite it.
So Megan, so let me ask you though, because you know, as your germaphobe aunt,
We love questions.
with all that raw sewage that was in here, was this stuff contaminated by it? I mean,
So right now I wouldn't eat it. So like this was obviously not in it. This
correct,
was
that
up
was
high.
right?
And like the moringa is gonna be fine as well too.
Right.
The berries, it's
That's
fine
right.
to eat those, but like I wouldn't eat leaves from this right now.
So, but after a time, it will,
Totally
with the
be fine.
rain and the.
If we knew what people put in the food that we get from the grocery store, we would be horrified. Like, take for instance Quaker Oats, which everyone has.
Whoa.
Quaker Oats is desiccated, so the way they get the oats off is they spray it with glyphosate or Roundup, which is like proven to cause cancer. And then they put it into our things, but we get it from a container and we're like, we're good. So sometimes it's, you eat that every day?
Megan, what's this
For my
tree?
diabetes.
This is black sapote or chocolate pudding fruit.
Got it,
So this
okay.
I planted from a seed. I've been pruning it to make it like a nice little shrub like this. And so it's going to produce these fruit that are about this size. It's probably going to in the next year or two. We're going to have a lot of fruit starting to fruit, which we'll see in the backyard. But this one right here is going to have a fruit this big, and inside it has like a chocolate pudding like fruit. This is a loquat. I call this my birthday tree. It's kind of like our Florida stone fruit. It has these delicious little, they fruit around my birthday. They're almost like a peach where they have a fuzzy outside and then they have a pit in the middle. and they're orange, and they're kind of like an apricot peach situation. Very good. Okay, we've arrived at Megan and Tim's farewell shrine right here in the garden. This was Granddad's favorite plant, which we're going to see in the back, lobster claw heliconia. This is us as birds in the garden to remain here forevermore.
You mean
This
I
one
can't
right
give
here?
that the boot to get rid of you two? Get the boot.
But yeah, these are just little things. Like this bouquet my students gave me when I turned 30 in my class.
Nice.
Okay, so now we've arrived at number 5 here. This is chaya, or tropical tree spinach. And Alice,
My favorite.
how do you use this plant?
Take it off, I boil it, and then I saute it with butter and garlic.
She also
Or
puts it in
olive
her
oil.
quiche
Put
as
it
well
in my
too.
quiche, yes, put it in my quiche.
So you can use this like you would any leafy green. So this is obviously safe from the flood as well too, totally fine. Also very
gotta boil it first,
easy
though.
to grow from cutting. So how this chaya got here was from a situation just like this where I was in someone's garden. If I had my pruning shears, it would go better, but we can grow this plant and a lot of these other plants from cuttings like this. So we can take cuttings like this, we can bring this home, we can stick it in the ground or in a pot with some soil, and it will grow a whole new plant. But this is kind of just like a tree spinach. We want to boil the leaves before we eat them, but we love it because it really holds up its texture and really is delicious. Okay, we're about to get into a crazy zone, but don't worry, you're safe. I had some students here and they were chopping and dropping, as we can see, all throughout this area. So everything's kind of fresh and new. But let's come around the bend to this corner. We have arrived at number 6.
Where?
This one's hard to see. It's like down there. Also, the sun is going down too. Before, like during the day, you could see them like reflecting in the light. Okay, so we're at number 6. So Dad was asking me earlier, why are we standing in all this debris? Why are we standing in all this stuff? And why am I putting it on the bananas? So I had some of my students come. We gave all these plants huge haircuts. This is another chaya right here, huge cut on it. There was a big curry tree right here, which we're about to learn about. This is Tancia's favorite Barbados cherry, but we cut all this back, and rather than throwing it in the bulk pile to get rid of everything, what we did is we were putting it on the ground because these sticks, all of this is going to break down through time, especially as rainy season starts, and it helps us to build up soil in the ground, also suppress weeds. We can take a moment and we can observe how gorgeous the soil is back here. People in Florida say that we can't grow food because we have very sandy soil. If you go to any place, we could even look in the backyard at how sandy the soil can be in certain parts. But this area is a huge biodiverse place because it's able to hold these nutrients in the system. So we're able to grow really healthy stuff. So this is a banana circle right here. Bananas aren't a tree, they're a giant herb. One of these banana pups was given to me by a neighbor when I first moved in. Planted it right here, and now you can see it sends out all these babies from the side. And so this banana right here will probably produce over the summer. We have a very small rack right here because that one came from dry season. But this, because we have all this food here, will continue to feed the bananas and also lock in moisture through dry season because we don't have irrigation back here. So this plant will produce a rack of bananas. We can eat them green or we can eat them yellow. We can boil them and they're so delicious. But then once this plant produces, we cut it back and we put it back into the garden because that's how they will grow. So they're not a tree, they're a giant herb. They're soft inside. Okay, behind us back here is number 7. So this was Granddad's favorite plant, is the word on the street. This lobster claw heliconia just started blooming for the first time back here. Justin, my student, really went crazy and cut a lot of it. All of this was cut so much, but it will all come back as well too. So it's honestly good that he did. This is the lobster claw heliconia. This is firebush, which is a Florida native. The indigenous people in our place knew it as the guardian of the forest, and I think it's cool that this one planted itself on the edge of the food forest. I didn't even plant it. And this plant was called the guardian of the forest because it was the medicine for poison oak. So if you got poison oak, you could use this, but it also is used traditionally to help with aches and pains in the body. It has edible berries and has beautiful red flowers that attract hummingbirds. Fire spikes back there. And I think we are on number 8 now. So this plant right here is a delicious leafy green too. Ooh, this is passion vine through here. We have passion vine along this fence. which is the host plant for the zebra longwing butterfly and the Gulf fritillary, and also has delicious passion fruit, which we all know and love. This is katuk. So katuk is another leafy green. There is a bunch of katuk through here, but Justin went crazy. He cut it all back, put it on the ground. But katuk is another one that we can eat and is quite delicious. It's a nice savory green.
Boil it
This
first
is
or
what it
just
looks like. You can
saute?
eat it. The only one you have to boil first is shaya. This one you could definitely eat for sure. It has these really nice little berries that come on it in the, it's already kind of starting underneath on the leaves right there, so that's a good way to ID it. See the little underside? I know we're kind of losing the light. But another delicious leafy green. Rounding the bend, we are at number 9. Seems kind of hidden right there as well too. What is that right there, unsuspecting?
Justin stumped it.
Yeah, so this is called Mexican sunflower, or Titonia diversifolia. It was a huge shrub before, has beautiful yellow sunflowers. But this plant is one of the most important plants in the food forest because it provides so much food for the soil and also provides phosphorus, which is a very missing element in a lot of gardens. We will round the bend to number 10. I will read you number 10. Here, you can come over this way if you'd like. Number 10. One of the most important things we can focus on in our urban coastal community is the element of water. This is our rain barrel. We are able to catch a small amount here in our rain barrel to water plants during dry season, but the way we hold the most water on site is in our healthy soil and with the diversity of plants surrounding you with well-developed root systems to slow spread and sink the water. So when Alice was saying she was reading an article the other day that was talking about the reason we had the flood was because of all the concrete that we have around. And so when we have plants and we allow these places for the water to be able to soak in, it will help us be stronger as people here in our coastal community. But one thing I was saying to Dad that I'm very humbled on is that if we are the only ones doing it, it's not going to matter. It's going to sweep everything off in a huge flood. So we have to work together. So this is our little rain barrel, but ideally what we're doing is holding water in the ground, which is why we don't need irrigation back here, because it holds that moisture whenever it does come. Okay, so this is a cluster of different tropical fruit things. This is a Calamandan orange, which just started blooming for the first time. We planted it in the shade of the oak tree because that's going to help it with citrus greening. This is our first couple soursops coming in right here. You can see the fruit right there. So soursop has a delicious sweet fruit like guanabana, if you ever had that at Roberta's here, the milkshake. And the leaves are also used in cancer treatment as well too, so you can make tea with this plant. Francois, a woman on our street, she had a husband and a lot of people who are trying to recover from cancer use these leaves. This tree is Tansia's favorite tree. It actually came from Aunt Kathy's old yard around the corner. It's called Barbados cherry or acerola, another hot superfood. Will definitely grow back into a nice shrub and has these red cherries that if you eat one, it provides your body with all the vitamin C you need for one day. And back there, that shrub is called curry tree. I will pass this one around so you can smell it. It's quite pungent. Let's use our sense of smell, and then I'll give you a sweet smell as well too.
Oh, yeah.
It smells like curry, right? But now smell this one. This one smells lovely.
Lovely.
Lovely. So this is called cardamom ginger. Thank you, cardamom ginger. So this one is very nice. Fresh. Yeah, so herbalists use this to bath. So you can put it in a bath with you and it helps you to relax your muscles. I think the tour goes this way. This is called cardamom ginger. It has beautiful flowers that come up from the top and it just got pollinated right there into those little seeds.
What are these two dogs? Just grab the stick.